Welcome back, everybody. JE Live. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and as promised, this is going to be your Rams-Bengals Super Bowl 56 preview prediction show. I have been dying to do this. This is something I very much enjoy doing. I love the preview and prediction shows. I love being able to do this on a live platform. Just really happy to be able to do this. For those of you who popped into the live stream earlier today, it wasn't actually live stream. It was a Twitter Spaces. I'm all over the place. We went for almost 4 hours. It was pretty incredible to talk to some of you. Bengals, Rams fans included. A lot of fun. Really do appreciate it. I also really appreciate a brand new milestone. We just hit 1 million, yes, 1 million views on the channel. So really do appreciate everybody that has pumped up the channel, that has subscribed, that has liked, that has commented, that has shared in any way. You are the reason, and I really do appreciate you guys helping me out. What is up, random guy? You're going to see Robert Woods. That's awesome. I got an autograph from Robert Woods as well. I'd love to get that football in the background somewhere. But yeah, he's a great dude. You know, it was really cool. I met him, and you know, he actually knew who I was, which was just not something I expected. He knew Downtown Rams and everything, so that was that was pretty cool. But yeah, you know, welcome, Pineapples. How's it going, Noah? My dad is in the house over there. I see that. Love it. What's up, Dad? What's up, Frankie? Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of seasoned right now. Even though I was on vacation and hadn't streamed for 8 days, I feel like I know this matchup so well. I mean, just so much talk about it and everything, and just doing a lot of research on the offensive line, because I know everyone's talking about the Bengals offensive line and how, you know, they're clearly a step behind. And you know, I think that there's a lot to this game. We're going to start off, we're going to break it in a way that can be digested, not only by the live audience, but by the audience that will be tuning in after the fact, because I understand people are at work. Here's the thing. I'm not going to waste any time. I think the Rams win this game. I think the Rams win 30-27. I think it's going to be a very good game, and if you're expecting a blowout on either side, I think you're going to be wrong in that regard. So this is how I see it. We're going to start off. Rams offense versus the Bengals defense. To just highlight a few guys that I really like. Obviously, with the Rams offense, in all likelihood, Tyler Higbee's not going to play. And if he does, he's probably just going to play for, you know, hey, it's the Super Bowl. It's nice to have you out there. Or he's going to be an emergency option because they have Kyle Markway, Jared Pinkney after Bryson Hopkins. That's not enough help at tight end. I'm really high on Kendall Blanton in this game. I think he got something going. Something clicked last week, but this is also a guy that, you know, UDFA out of Mizzou that not many knew about. Alexis, actually, seeing as she's from Missouri herself, she knew a little bit about him, and she definitely liked him. That was like her guy coming out, the UDFA, when he signed with the Rams, and I liked him in the draft. I didn't love him the way Alexis did, so shout out to her, but you know, I just feel like he kind of came into his own not last week, but 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. You know, Johnny on the spot. And now all of a sudden, instead of him jumping in and having to play with an offense that he hasn't played with, because yes, he's played with the offense, but he hasn't had any reps on the first team offense. He just hasn't. So to have this guy come in and fill the void, the big void left behind with Tyler Higbee, who has been very good down the stretch, that speaks volume, because now you get 2 weeks. You know, now he's working with the ones, and that's the good thing. And this is the opportunity that you get. Another opportunity here is Van Jefferson, because everyone was talking about Ben Skoranek. What the hell are you doing? How do you drop that pass? Ben Skoranek was only out there because Van Jefferson was not 100% over the last few games. He is now healthy. He had that time off. He's healthy. Andrew Whitworth, another option here. You know, the argument is that, you know, Whitworth isn't playing his best football and he's falling off and it's the end of the season. This is Whitworth's potential last game of his career. He has a chance to win a Super Bowl and retire after beating the team that put him in the league. Okay? So there's a lot of storybook here for Whit. And if he knows if this is his last game, you know he's going to leave it all out on the line. Not like he wouldn't anyway, but this is his second Super Bowl. He needs to get that ring. So he gets 2 weeks off after, you know, obviously looking a little shaky. Havenstein's looked like the best offensive lineman on this offense, you know, pretty much the whole postseason. I think Noteboom looked really good. I don't know if he's going to end up playing, and I don't know how big of a role he would have if he played. But that's definitely something to keep in mind, is that Havenstein's been very good, and that's going to be needed against guys like Hubbard and, of course, Trey Hendrickson, what he can do off the edge. Great free agency acquisition by the Cincinnati Bengals. So looking at their offense, you talk about Blanton. You talk about Van getting extra time and getting ready to go. Here's another guy you might not have heard of. Actually, you have because you follow me. Darrell Henderson. I have not stopped naming him because he is an X factor. He is somebody that now you're talking 2 more weeks of him. He's going to be ready to go. Sean McVay already confirmed on the offensive side. I really like Darrell Henderson to be that change of pace guy in this game, can help you, as a pass catcher out of the backfield, obviously can run. And on top of it, he's the best pass protector of the 3 running backs, including Michel, who's pretty good. He's not as good as Henderson. So there's going to be usage for all 3 running backs. This is the advantage of getting to the Super Bowl, because if you're banged up, a little bit banged up. Obviously, if you lose guys for the season, it's not like Woods is going to be coming through that door anytime soon. But when you have guys like this who may or may not play, you get to the Super Bowl and now all of a sudden these guys have a chance to play. And so I think that's important. Another thing here that I'll throw out there, in a reason why pushing this back, getting in the Super Bowl, having those 2 weeks also helps. It helps with Cam Akers, guys. I mean, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I'm very much guilty of it. Cam Akers came in and immediately contributed his second game, really his first true game, back from that 6 months after tearing his Achilles. And he was so good against the Cardinals, left about 100 yards on the field, incomplete pass where, Stafford underthrows him. And then furthermore, you have a play where he runs for, a bunch of yards and they call it back because of a penalty. And then there was another penalty because of the helmet to helmet. So, he had a lot of yards that were taken away because of that. But look, Cam Akers now gets 2 weeks, and I think he's going to be more in tune and ready to go than people are giving him credit for. He went up against a tough Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that barely allows a 100-yard rusher ever. I mean, I don't think that they've allowed more than 2 in the last 3 years. So they've been so dominant against the run, partly because of Vita Vea. And so I didn't expect Cam Akers to have a really good game in that one, and he didn't. 24 carries for 48 yards. However, the 49ers game, they sold out to stop the run. That was their thing. The Rams surprisingly ran the ball more than the Niners, and they sold out to stop the run, and Cam Akers had nowhere to go. So now you look against the Bengals. I think they can run against the Bengals. I think the Bengals have some really good talent. Obviously in the trenches in the interior, you have B.J. Hill for whatever reason. The Giants let him go. He's a very good player. He's filling in for the injured. I forget his name now. Totally forgot his name. He was formerly from the Browns, and I'm just totally blanking on his name. But he's filling in. B.J. Hill's playing very well. Ogunjobi, that's what I was thinking of, Larry Ogunjobi. He's playing very well. You got to give him credit. In addition to that, though, one of the best nose tackles in all of football, and he was that in Houston, so I don't know why they kept him, why they didn't keep him. That's DJ Reader. So those guys are going to be able to probably help a bit, in the trenches. But I think, when you have talent like Cam Akers, it just takes sometimes 1 or 2 runs to get him really going, get him in a rhythm. I think we're going to see that. Keep in mind, Sean McVay kind of abandoned the run when they went up against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. He said he's going to learn from his mistakes. He knows the things he did wrong. Hopefully he's looking at the C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley not running the ball enough and thinking, hey, we can do a better job of that this time around. And I expect that to be the case. So just for the Super Bowl being, 2 weeks off and all of that, I definitely think that helps Cam Akers get back into it, helps Darrell Henderson, helps Van Jefferson, helps Kendall Blanton, helps Andrew Whitworth, and potentially helps Brian Allen, who I still don't 100% think is 100% from that knee injury. Looks pretty bad at first, and it just helps the offensive line. They played a physical football game against the 49ers, but I mean, that could go both ways. Then you look at the Bengals and their defense, and we touched on it. Hubbard is playing good football. Hendrickson's one of the best pass rushers in the game right now out of FAU. And, then you look at B.J. Hill and you look at DJ Reader, and these guys are playing good football as well. But what I'm looking at is Logan Wilson at linebacker. I think Logan Wilson is a tremendous football player. He's the one that had that pick on Ryan Tannehill to seal the deal, but really he's just been so good all year long, has a really great deal of consistency. He's a very nice blend of size and speed, and, really liked him coming out of the draft, not as much as, my guy Blaine over at Downtown Rams. That was his guy. But, coming out of Wyoming, I thought he moved really well. He was a playmaker. He is that now. I mean, that's what he is. So he's somebody to watch out for. They don't like to blitz, but they will occasionally send a guy like Logan Wilson, and they may send Von Bell, the safety who did play for the Saints, and this is a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I think, first off, he can lay the wood. This is a guy that can, be a hard hitter, but, the Bengals and what they do well is that they don't blitz, is that they drop a lot of guys into coverage. It's the biggest issue with Patrick Mahomes is that, if you don't blitz Patrick Mahomes, you have a chance to beat him. You have to force him to read the field and read the defense and, get the pressure on him. You can win that way, and that's how the Bengals did win. You look at what the Bengals did, though, generating those turnovers was key. You look at Von Bell, you look at Chidobe Awuzie, Eli Apple, and of course, one of the best, if not, I'm going to say he's personally my favorite safety in the league as the best safety. He's just incredible. Jesse Bates, the third out of Wake Forest, former first-round pick. The guy's everywhere. He can do everything. He's got incredible range. He's got incredible athleticism, but furthermore, on top of it, he's just so smart. He's so smart. He's a guy that can, make plays. He tipped the pass that got picked off, and ended up being kind of the backbreaker for the Chiefs in the title game. Jesse Bates is a guy you definitely have to watch out, number 30 in the back end of that secondary. But another guy you definitely have to watch out, and I think he's the best nickel in all of football, is Mike Hilton. This is a guy that they stole away from their rival Pittsburgh Steelers for a reason. He is the best nickel corner in football. He is going to be able to give, make a run for his money, not necessarily shut down Cooper Kupp or an OBJ, but he's going to be able to help them out enough where, okay, this guy makes a serious impact. You look at what he was doing off Tyreek Hill. He was shutting down whoever he was on, whether it was a Byron Pringle or DeMarcus Robinson, or it was Mecole Hardman. But when immediately the adjustment the Bengals made the last game, when you saw that Tyreek Hill was just going to have his way in that game, they put Mike Hilton on Tyreek Hill, and he couldn't do anything about it. And so I think that is really telling. Tyreek Hill is an incredible talent. He's incredibly explosive. So we'll see if he can do anything to slow down Cooper Kupp. No one's truly been able to do that since early on in the season against the Cardinals, and that was just a weird game in itself. So who knows? I think that's going to be, honestly, I think that's going to be how the Bengals try to stop the Rams. They're going to use that type of blueprint. Here's the issue, though, with that game and why it's not easy to have that blueprint. It's not easy to copy that. The Rams abandoned the run. They ran well with Darrell Henderson. They had a fumble in their own zone, inside the 20 by Sony Michel. And they also had an interception by Matthew Stafford. It's not guaranteed you're going to get 2 turnovers gifted to you like that. But furthermore, as great as Joe Burrow is, he's not mid or earlier season Kyler Murray when he's, fully healthy, he's fully confident, he's not banged up. So that's kind of the deal there, is that Kyler Murray ran all around that defense. They made him look silly, and because of that, he was able to keep plays alive. No matter if it was second or third and long, he was able to make those plays. The Rams did respond early on in that game. The issue was Kyler Murray, he just completely wore out a defense that was bend, don't break, and breaking. So I don't think that the Bengals can easily replicate that. I don't think they don't have a Kyler Murray type of quarterback that can replicate that. And so I'm not looking at it in terms of, oh yeah, that they'll be fine, that's what's going to happen, whatever. I'm really not. The way I see it is the Bengals are going to have to force turnovers. They're going to have to get fumbles. They're going to have to, intercept Stafford. They're going to have to make those plays, and they have the players to do that. On the offensive side of the ball for the Bengals, when you look at it, and I'll get to Mark's super chat real quick. Really appreciate the donation, by the way, Mark. Really do appreciate that. When you look at the Bengals offense, first off, Joe Burrow. I can't say enough great things about him. Big fan of him. I think truly he can be the face of the league, and I think he might be the face of the league already. I think he kind of just showed you. He beat Patrick Mahomes twice this year. He has ice in his veins. I mean, this is his second season, and coming off a torn ACL, so he didn't even finish his first season. What he's been able to do with a team that has been considered a doormat as of late, a team that their coach was basically expected to be fired. He had the best odds to be fired before the season. It is just incredible what Burrow's been able to do. And they haven't had the best offensive line, but I want to touch on that a little bit before I stop gushing over Burrow, because Burrow is one of the best, and by one of the best, he is top 2 with Matthew Stafford in passing yards and just passing against the blitz. He is a number 2 quarterback against the blitz. Stafford is in the top 2 as well. So these are the 2 best quarterbacks against the blitz. I don't think the Rams are going to be blitzing a ton, and I don't think that the Bengals are going to be blitzing a ton because they typically don't. It doesn't make any sense to want to blitz Stafford either. So I think that's kind of a little bit of a stalemate. But what Burrow does so well is his on-target percentage. His throw on-target percentage is best in the league. He is a very accurate quarterback, and he's not afraid to make that tight window throw. He's not going to look at a receiver and say, that might be a little too tough from the far hash, I'm not going to throw that. And that is what gives Burrow the advantage, is because now defenses have to really account for everything. Just like Stafford, Burrow and him are honestly pretty similar. He looks honestly a little bit like a young Matt Stafford in a sense, has that mobility. The pocket mobility to keep plays alive that shouldn't be alive is another trait that I love about him. But with Burrow is he can take off, he can run, but it's all about the pocket mobility and keeping the play alive and improvising. He's not Kyler though. So let's make that very clear. He's not running around with 4.2, 4.3 speed and acting like a wide receiver, and it's ridiculous to bring him down. That's not him. Now, there is a way to beat Joe Burrow, and it's going to be basically going at their offensive line. And keep in mind, as great as Joe Burrow is, they lost 6 times with Burrow at quarterback. They're 10-6 with Burrow. They lost that game, of course, playing the backup Brandon Allen. But here's the deal, okay? Joe Burrow's not the issue. The issue is not the running backs either. I mean, I think Joe Mixon is one of the best running backs in all of football. He's very similar skill set wise to a Cam Akers, can help you, out of the passing attack, the running game. Needs to get a little bit better in pass pro, but I think he's better than Akers in that regard. It's not him either. It's obviously not the receivers. It's the offensive line. I mean, we all know that. So you look at the left tackle position, and right off the bat, Jonah Williams, he's impressive. He's a guy that you like long-term. But has he been good enough this year? Honestly, no. He's been okay. He hasn't been good enough. He's been okay. Then you have Quentin Spain. Spain was pretty good when he was last with the Tennessee Titans, but he has since somewhat fallen off. He's not very good anymore. So then you look at the center position, and that is Trey Hopkins, who, let's be honest here, Trey Hopkins is not that great, but he did just have a really good game against the Chiefs, not allowing a pressure or sack or anything. That was against Chris Jones, one of the best interior defensive linemen in all of football. But here's a little caveat on that with Chris Jones. Chris Jones doesn't have a sack in the postseason. He's played a lot of postseason games. So for whatever reason, the light switch doesn't come on in the playoffs for Chris Jones. That could be part of it. But giving Trey Hopkins his credit, he's in the top 10 in Pro Football Focus for centers grades past week 10. So lately, it's what have you done for me lately? Trey Hopkins has kind of assumed that role. He's taken over and he's played decent football. Then you look at right guard. That is a little bit, we don't really know how that's going to go. Hakeem Adeniji, formerly, from Kansas, a draft pick, a guy that I liked a lot, a guy that I've interviewed. Big fan of Hakeem, but he has struggled, and he struggled so much so that they replaced him halfway through that game against the Bengals. He did not finish that game. That was Jackson Carman, the second-round pick out of Clemson, who they moved from tackle to guard. So they move him from tackle to guard. He actually gave up the most pressures. He did struggle. He also has a back issue. Hakeem Adeniji is likely going to start since he was kind of introduced as the starter at the the pregame parade. However, I could see Jackson Carman also kind of taking over halfway through the game if he's ready to go. That back issue, though, could be alarming, but not as alarming as right tackle. And if you guys are wondering why on earth Isaiah Prince is playing right tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl team, I'm going to explain to you right now. Riley Reiff is a veteran from the Minnesota Vikings that came over to Bengals and actually was the best offensive lineman for that team this season. He didn't give up anywhere near as many pressures as anyone else, and he was efficient. But what happened? Riley Reiff got hurt. And now with Reiff hurt, they are starting Isaiah Prince, who to me is by far the weakest link going up against Leonard Floyd. That is a matchup that I'm 100% dying to see. I think that is going to be, potentially make or break for the Bengals, and I don't think it's going to go well for the Bengals. But let's look at the receivers. You got Jamar Chase, the outstanding rookie, who you guys know I've been gushing about all year long. I think he's phenomenal. He's definitely top 5 in the league already. He's just an incredible receiver, can win over the top, can win, you want to use him as a decoy, in jet motion, things like that. You can use him all over the place. So he's just built different. Then you have 6'4" T. Higgins, who can go up and make that high point, catch over somebody. He can really test the Rams secondary in a way that really no one tested it until that last throw, the last touchdown pass maybe we'll ever see from Tom Brady to Mike Evans. I mean, really no one was testing the Rams deep down the field like that. They could do that and try to use that size advantage with T. Higgins. And then number 3 you have, and I mean, it's crazy that he's a number 3 because he's a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver. That's Tyler Boyd. Boyd is honestly just as good as anybody, and he's a very talented receiver, very very good blocker, very good route runner, great speed out of Pitt. This is definitely not somebody you sleep on. So they have this 3-headed monster. Then they have CJ Uzomah, who I think is very underrated. We don't know how healthy he'll be, although he ripped off the cast apparently, or the brace at the parade that they had, the festivities in Cincinnati. So we'll see. But looking at these two teams, I think that they are pretty evenly matched. I think the Rams are obviously the better team. I've said it all year. I think they're the best team in the NFL. But if you think it's going to be a blowout, I really can't subscribe to that notion, because you look at the Rams defense. They got some good things. You have the Bengals. They got some good things going for them. The Rams, though, I'm very intrigued how they're going to use Sebastian Joseph Day. He's coming into this. They have A'Shawn Robinson, who started. They have Greg Gaines, who took over 13 games ago. They have Aaron Donald. Marquise Copeland had an interception in the first playoff game. Let's not forget about that. So they've gotten some good contribution in the interior. We'll see how it goes, but Sebastian Joseph Day could definitely come in and be an impact player. On those in the running game. I mean, I think he can really shut down the run. We'll see how they use him, though. This could end up being the last game he plays as a Ram, too, so that's also a possibility. Let's not forget that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he's used. Now, look at the linebackers. We did find out Eric Weddle is going to be wearing the green dot, and so because of that, the linebackers here, it means Troy Reeder's likely not going to, and he's likely not going to start, and that's probably going to be because Ernest Jones, the rookie 3rd-round pick, they love him. He can play not only the run, but he is improved in the passing game, whereas Troy Reeder's a little bit, weaker in that regard. So I think they want to get ready for that. And they'll have Traven Howard, who, is a former defensive back. So that's definitely somebody that they feel comfortable with. Made the game-breaking play against the 49ers to seal it and send them to Super Bowl 56. Well, at least, made the interception. Aaron Donald forced the play. But you look at all they have, and really the only thing that concerns me, despite the fact they're starting a 7th-round pick out of Penn State who didn't even really play defense in college and was really just a special teamer, and they're starting a guy that was on his couch 6 weeks ago, coming out of retirement 2 years later. The only thing that really concerns me is actually Darius Williams. Darius Williams, to me, is somebody that I think they could take advantage of, and if he does not play the way he's played in the past, this could be a long day. I could see them in a way kind of looking at the way, Wade Phillips called that Super Bowl against the Patriots, allowing Julian Edelman to eat up the field as long as they didn't allow Gronk to do it. They stopped the big play. Obviously, they gave it up at the end, but they held Gronk in check. I could see the Rams doing that, but here's the problem. You can't just shut down Chase, or you can't just allow Chase to go off because, obviously Chase can kill you, and you also have Higgins and Boyd, and you have Mixon out of the backfield. So there's a lot of different ways that they can go, and I think this is why, to me, it is just so interesting and so intriguing, this matchup, because both these teams have so many different ways and avenues that they can win this football game. And I think that's something that is awesome. I think this is exactly the Super Bowl we needed. There's so much parity with it. And, these are two likable teams, as long as are not, rooting against them because of, your team being in their division or something. But both these teams have storylines. No storyline is necessarily better than the other. You could say it's really cool. The feel-good story coming back from the torn ACL and winning a Super Bowl would be amazing for Joe Burrow. You could say, Jamar Chase coming to this team as a rookie, joining Joe Burrow, winning a national title and winning a Super Bowl with him his first year would be incredible for him. You could say, Trey Hendrickson, who at one point was an overpaid defensive end, and now all of a sudden he wins a Super Bowl, and it shows the Bengals were right to pay him, like I assumed anyway. There's a lot of different storylines here. Zach Taylor winning a Super Bowl against, the guy that, pretty much gave him the opportunity to be a head coach in Sean McVay and being in that tree. But on top of it, you can look across the aisle and you can look at the Rams and say, how many storylines do they got? They got Stafford, seeing that, Matthew Stafford, everyone counted him out, and he goes to the Rams, and, it's too much to trade for Stafford. He's not a winner. He goes 4-0 in the playoffs after everyone just said 0-3 the whole year. You could say Cam Akers coming back from a torn Achilles 6 months to win a Super Bowl, help his team win. That's a storyline. Sean McVay, embarrassed. His team only scored 3 points in the Super Bowl. That no longer matters, just like the 0-6 for the 49ers no longer matters, because if he wins this Super Bowl, that's huge. And beating, a guy that he helped get that head coaching job in Zach Taylor. You could also say, storyline as far as the receivers go. Cooper Kupp wasn't able to play in his first Super Bowl in 2018 because he tore his ACL, and a lot of fans said what could have happened if Cooper Kupp played. OBJ being the cancer, how everything, Browns fans went from saying he's the reason we lost to, well, we didn't have OBJ, and, it's just incredible in that regard. Robert Woods. I mean, look, Robert Woods, it's unfortunate he's not there, but it would still be a nice storyline. He was there the last time, and, he gets to see and at least know that he helped get this team there. So it'd be nice for him. It'd be nice for Tyler Higbee, who wasn't even drafted by McVay's regime. He was drafted by Jeff Fisher in that regime in 2016. Would be nice to see him get one. Same thing with Havenstein. Andrew Whitworth literally would get to retire winning a Super Bowl against the team that drafted him. There's just so much here. I mean, the defense, Aaron Donald finally gets his ring, even though he's by far the best player in the league, and finally he gets the respect. Jalen Ramsey, the best defensive back, finally gets that ring. You look at just all these guys. There's so many different storylines. The rookie, Ernest Jones, gets to start in the Super Bowl. He gets the ring. Eric Weddle comes out of retirement, and he says, I'm just going to go in. I'm going to win these games. I'm going to leave. Nick Scott, 7th-round pick, barely played defense in college, was a special team pick. Everyone thought that, okay, he's just going to play special teams, including myself. He comes out. He has an awful Week 18 when they needed him to come through. He's probably the reason, or one of the big reasons, why they lost that game against the Niners, and he balls out the whole postseason and then helps them win a Super Bowl with the injuries. There are so many storylines. And so, to me, I think another one, Raheem Morris. How about this guy? Constantly nagged on, constantly talked about, constantly compared to Brandon Staley. Well, look at what he did, guys. Look at the season that Raheem Morris has done. They win a Super Bowl, and think about that. Now Raheem Morris comes back for potentially round 2. Would love to see it. Storylines everywhere. Rams winning, of course, at SoFi Stadium would be incredible. And just think about this. How important this would be. Right now, the Lakers, they have all these stars, all this talent. Okay, so you got this one team that's a super team. Everyone's calling the Rams a super team, and they have all this talent, and they get the job done, while the Lakers might not even make the playoffs. How big would that be for Lakers/Rams fans, seeing as the Lakers have had such a, and obviously the season's not over, but they've had such a disappointing season, and to see the Rams pick it up after they've had some disappointing moments, to see them finally get to that next step and win their second Super Bowl in their team's history and their fourth championship overall. It would just it would be incredible. So there's a lot of storylines here. Bengals worst to first, obviously. You're going to say that, but no team deserves it more. They both have storylines, and they're the final two. Either team can win. Don't assume that, one team is going to, absolutely trounce the other. I wouldn't do that. But sorry, going back to Mark, and by the way, Hilltop, thank you so much for becoming a member. I just saw that. This feed is a little late. Mark gives some hope. I feel like on paper we should win, but feel like media and people are manifesting the Bengals to win it because of Joe Burrow. I just think it's all just talk to try to get, more intrigue and everything. But it's nothing more than that. I think the media is covering the Rams just as much as the Bengals. It's part of that thing. You don't really notice it if you're not looking for it. So I think it's been pretty, kind of down the middle. I see some people, certain broadcasts and whatnot, focus more on the Bengals than the Rams, but I think it's been pretty split down the middle for the most part. And I'm really happy for guys like Matthew Stafford, Raheem Morris, and just really the guys that the media trashed. Just love it. Guys, we're over 100 people. Really appreciate you being in here. Be sure to hit the like button. The final score I have, the prediction is 30-27. I have Matthew Stafford winning the Super Bowl MVP. And I'll say the dark horse, the underdog Super Bowl MVP that you should all be betting on right now is Eric Weddle. Because hear me out when I say this. I think it's going to be Stafford. But I think the Rams win. So if the Rams win, it's going to be a Ram. Duh. If Matthew Stafford doesn't win Super Bowl MVP, then that probably means he didn't have a great game, or it probably means that the defense had a player that really stood apart and had a great game. And Eric Weddle has made it known he is not coming back. This is it. This is his last game. I would expect this guy to literally lay it all out on the line and maybe come away with a pick, maybe a forced fumble. And like I said, he takes one of those back for a touchdown, and he's in the conversation. I really think the odds betting on him make a lot of sense. He, to me, is the dark horse Super Bowl MVP. It'd be storybook for him. It'd be a little weird because you do have guys like Donald who, have been dreaming for this moment. But at the end of the day, no one's going to care as long as the Rams are hoisting the Lombardi, at least Rams fans in that regard. Should the Bengals win, I think it would have to be Joe Burrow. I think if the Bengals win, it's going to be because of Joe Burrow. I don't think this defense would necessarily win so much so that, it knocks the Rams on their butts, so to speak. I think Joe Burrow would have to outduel, Matthew Stafford, and that's how that they would win. But there's an avenue to both teams to win. I just think that the Rams probably have more options, and they can win because of that. And I think the Rams are the better team. So it all comes down to one game. Anything can happen, but I'm not nervous. I'm anxious. I'm ready for the game to start, So that's that, but let's see. I did not see that, Joakim. By the way, guys, thank you so much for filing in here. I know people are getting off work or in rush hour traffic or, on lunch break or whatever. Appreciate everyone joining. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like Nolan is saying. Raheem the Scheme, I love that. You disagree it will be a long day if Williams plays poorly, or front line with Weddle with Ramsey will cover up and carry Williams if he plays poorly. I could see that. I could definitely see that, but I don't know. I'm a little concerned about Williams. And I'm hoping this is just me manifesting a just blowout, a breakthrough, redeeming performance from Williams. Because this could be his last game, and very, very well, could be his last game. I mean, this guy, he's not on a contract next year, and, the Rams have to sign other guys, so they could let him go, but, we'll see. OBJ I could see. I would love it for OBJ, be that storyline. He's such a cancer, yet he helped lead this team to the Super Bowl. He bought into the we not me culture. He never made it about him. He was rooting for Cooper Kupp to break the record and not, complaining about the lack of targets when he could have. And he gets Super Bowl MVP. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. Paul, that's a great question. I think the Rams are going to sack Burrow 3+ times. It could be more than 3, but I'm going to say 3+. That way, at least I have that, okay, they got 3, whatever. I don't see it being like a ton. It's not going to be 9. The 9 sacks, I mean, let's be real here. That game that Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry played in the middle was just unbelievable. And, obviously it opened up the ability of, Harold Landry off the edge, but they just played out of this world in that game, and that's just, I don't know if I see, that was like an otherworldly type performance by the Titans front, and the fact that they didn't win is not really surprising, because this is why, once again, you need a Stafford, a Burrow, a Brady, a Rodgers, a Mahomes, a Herbert, somebody like that can truly win, and make those throws, Josh Allen. Because I can tell you right now, Ryan Tannehill, if the Titans continue to roll him out, they're not winning a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. They get 5 years and they will not win one with Tannehill. I can tell you that right now. So, that's to not win a game where you get 9 sacks on a quarterback. That's brutal. Yeah, absolutely, P-Train. I really enjoyed that. We'll try doing that again. Hopefully, there's not as many software issues, errors, whatever. But I did have a lot of fun for sure. How many sacks? Oh, I already answered that. Skip would be enraged throwing Mountain Dew cases all over his home if OBJ wins it. That'd be so funny. That's so funny. Man, I could totally see that. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I trust the coaching staff. If they feel like Ernest Jones is ready to go, then he's ready to go. If he's not, then they'll probably just pull that. But, the modern throwbacks are cool. I personally would have rather had the Royal, but, the Bengals picked the black, so they couldn't do it. But, let's see. Once again, guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit the thumbs up / like button if you haven't. We're at 47 likes. Over 100 people are in here. Really helps me out, helps the algorithm out. We'll tell YouTube that people are enjoying it, and they'll send people here the more people that like it. So if you could help me out, that would be awesome. Modern throwbacks look clean. Yeah, they do look clean. I'll definitely give you that. They do. O-line needs to show up strong, especially against the Bengals defensive ends. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I just think that, we're making too big of a deal, about the Rams mismatch on the Bengals offensive line, and we're not, giving the Bengals enough credit, because quite honestly, they deserve the credit. This is a good football team. There's a reason they deserve to be here just as much as the Rams do. They beat a number 1 seed, a number 2 seed. They beat that number 2 seed twice this year, and no one gave them, any chance in hell of winning the playoff game. They beat the Raiders. Raiders are a pretty solid football team. They got some pressure on Burrow, and he made them pay. I just think that this is how it's supposed to be, man. They went 10-7. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. I mean, regardless, they were 11-6 team. They just sat their starters week 18, and they've dealt with some injuries, and they've been able to kind of ride through them. And Burrow has had to make such a huge impact after people were doubting him. He threw like 5 interceptions in a training camp performance earlier in the season, like before the season started, and people are like, oh, Burrow's in his head. The ACL tear is never going to allow him to play well again, whatever. And then Jamar Chase with the drops in preseason. This is why I don't, and hopefully everyone will learn this lesson. Don't buy into those narratives in training camp. He's jumping out of the gym, or he looks like Jerry Rice, or Like whatever Gruden said about Brian Edwards. Randy Moss, I think he said. But just don't buy into that nonsense. It's all for clicks. Like this should tell you. This should just tell you. Don't you remember when Stafford threw an interception in training camp? It got reported by somebody, and everyone lost their collective minds. Oh, my favorite. Don't you remember when the Rams didn't look good against the Cowboys in that joint practice? Do you remember that? Because I remember that. I remember when the Rams didn't look good in the joint practice in Oxnard against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys played better than they did in the scrimmage. The Cowboys got eliminated in the first round, and the Rams are in the Super Bowl. So I don't put too much stock in all that. I just don't. And hopefully this will show us, like, okay, no longer, don't do it anymore. But yeah. Let's see. Remember, guys, Kupp getting targeted is a negative thing. Yeah, media will have you believe that. Yeah, they like Burrow. I mean, I like Burrow too, you know. He's a transfer from Ohio State. They chose Dwayne Haskins over him, and he made him pay. Won a national title with LSU. They haven't been the same since he left. You have a good feeling about Akers winning MVP? That would be a redeeming win. I think it's going to be a lot of picks for Burrow and a pick 6. Really? I mean, we'll see. Jake, do you think Edwards, Allen, and Corbett will be able to hold their own against Reeder, Hill, and Shelvin? Yeah, I forgot about that. Tyler Shelvin, 4th-round pick at LSU. That was another one. Yeah, I mean, I think that they'll have a solid performance. I don't think that the offense line is going to be unstoppable, but, you know, like a total wall. I think Stafford will definitely deal with pressure, and he's ready for it, you know? Do I also think that Stafford's probably going to have to get some offseason work done? Yes, because I think he's 100% not healthy. And I do think this 2-week period is going to help, because I don't think at really any point during the season he's really been healthy except for maybe the Bears game. But he started getting hit a ton, and, you know my thoughts on that. You mean Raiders? Probably. I don't want to self-exile from Rams content again like I did after the Rams lost after Super Bowl 53. Welcome back, Jake. Need your insight for Sunday. Too much negativity against our Rams. Can't give Stafford credit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Stafford, for whatever reason, he wins the Super Bowl, and I don't care personally. We'll